Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to another writing vlog. So as you all know, I have been trying to write 10,000 words every single month until the end of the year in order to finish the first draft of my novel. Which, if you're new here, hi, I'm Amelia, I'm a writer and I'm currently working on the first draft of a dystopian sci-fi project. And I actually spent the last couple weeks moving and I got a little behind in terms of word count. Currently, it is the 10th of July and I've written 1,176 words, so it's not horrible. I definitely still have written a good amount given that I spent so much time moving, but I am still a little bit behind if I want to meet my 10,000 word count goal for the month. So in this writing vlog, we are going to be attempting to catch up on my word count and work on the draft. I want to try to write 5,000 words in order to get back on track with my goals so that I can actually meet 10,000 words for July. So that is the goal for this writing vlog. This morning I woke up and made a coffee and went straight into writing, and I didn't write very much this morning. I think I wrote like 300 words, so not very much knocked off of the word count goal for this video, but I'm pretty confident that I can write 5,000 words. Today is Thursday and I'm pretty much free all of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday aside from editing. So basically I'm going to be spending the next 4 days just working on this book. Also, I feel like I should give you guys an update on the new house because I haven't really talked about it yet. Aside from the house itself being just absolutely perfect and beautiful, we are surrounded by nature on this property that we're living on. So the dogs absolutely love it. It's so quiet and I love to hear the crickets at night. It's so serene and it just feels like such an amazing change of pace from where we were before. The apartment that we lived in before was kind of dead center downtown where I live. So it was very loud, very noisy, and yeah, pretty much no nature, which I did not enjoy. So I love being able to look out the window and see bees flying around, and it is just lovely. I'm so happy and I'm just absolutely loving life right now, and a lot of that has to do with you guys, so thank you so much for being here and for watching. So yeah, anyway, the new house has been perfect and I am just so excited to finish this book in this house. This is like the ultimate writer's house. I feel like it's just like all of the windows and the natural sunlight. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm so happy if you couldn't tell. Right now, I'm currently working on the end-ish of chapter 5, what I think will be the end of chapter 5. I've definitely been writing way too much in the chapters and I feel like the pace is kind of dragging, and even in my writing itself the pace is very slow. So I'm just trying to move myself along and get through the plot points that I outlined. But yeah, at this point I'm currently working on the end of chapter 5 and hoping I can finish that today. That would be awesome. But I'm just trying to tell myself it's better to have more that I can go back and edit later than not enough. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into writing and let's see if I can write 5,000 words in the next 4 days. I've been writing for a couple of hours and I wanted to take a little break, I guess, to talk about something that's kind of been on my mind a little bit lately. So 2 of my hobbies obviously are making videos and writing, and honestly I would say that I love them both equally, especially editing. Like I love editing and I love writing. Those are 2 of my, I don't know, like they both bring me equal amounts of joy, I would say. And I think that that's pretty evident in my videos. I love editing and trying new like methods and new fonts, and it genuinely is so fun. to me to edit a video and like inject my personality into the final product. But I will say I do kind of think that I'm guilty of focusing too much sometimes on the editing and like aesthetics of everything, and I don't actually talk enough about writing because, you know, behind the camera and behind the editing and the fun text and the music, like I am actually writing a book, which comes with a lot of struggles. To be honest, like it's in no way easy. It's never easy, and I don't ever want to project that image. Like I don't want my channel to make it seem like writing a book is always this beautiful, romantic, aesthetic thing, because it's not. And I do love editing. Like I'm never gonna stop making super highly edited videos because I just love doing that. It's genuinely so fun to me. But I do want to try, I guess, to focus a little bit more on candidness and, you know, talking about what really is going into writing this book, which I feel like I do actually already do a little bit. But honestly, there have been times when I wanted to talk about something, but I didn't, because sharing things on the internet, no matter how many people are watching, is pretty scary, especially when it comes to your writing and, you know, projects that you're working on. Because in my life, I've genuinely never done anything that has been so, I don't know, like raw and personal and sometimes super embarrassing and ugly and messy. And so sometimes like I want to share struggles and challenges that I'm going through, but it can be scary because the internet sometimes can be pretty lethal, and I've noticed in the past couple years that there is just kind of no empathy on the internet sometimes. And of course, like my experience posting videos has been overall so positive, so supportive, such a lovely and kind community. But there is always just like a fear, you know, no matter what people are saying, there's a fear of being vulnerable on the internet. And I think sometimes I can hide behind the editing because I'm afraid to talk about things. But I really don't want my channel to be that way. I want it to be honest, and I want you guys to actually know what writing this book is like for me. So on that note, let's talk a little bit about my actual recent struggles working on this novel. So yesterday, if you don't know, I'm currently reading the Red Rising saga, which is so good. And little tangent, sometimes reading while you're writing can be kind of discouraging because you're reading someone's like final perfected published piece while you're working on your first draft, which mine is an absolute mess disaster, honestly. So sometimes reading while writing is just can be kind of discouraging. But anyway, I'm reading Red Rising, and in this saga, if you don't know, and this is not a spoiler or anything, but the society is split essentially into hierarchies of color. And while I was reading, I was thinking to myself, well, maybe this is something that I should think about implementing in my own project, like having a super clear distinction between the classes. Another example of this, of course, which I always reference, is the Hunger Games, because you have the distinct districts and then the capital. And I feel like as a reader, that's something that I really like, and also I feel like resonates with what we might expect to happen with humanity in the future. And while my society in my novel is pretty stratified, like there are clear classes, they don't have like distinct features like the Hunger Games or Red Rising. And so I started spiraling, okay? I started freaking out just because I was reading a book. Like, seriously, I literally started thinking to myself, well, maybe my plot doesn't work and maybe I should change everything about my book. Should I scrap everything that I've built? I started thinking, well, maybe my book should be about AI and maybe it should be set on Earth rather than on a different planet, which, by the way, my book is set on a different planet. And yeah, just kind of freaking out, like genuinely freaking out. And I know that sounds super dramatic, but maybe it doesn't. Like, I'm sure you guys can relate to feeling sometimes like you want to scrap your entire project. And yeah, that was me yesterday, like literally yesterday. The silver lining, I guess, though, is as I started picking apart my book and thinking about the things that I should maybe change, which, by the way, the changes that I was thinking about making were largely because I was concerning myself with marketability and what I think that readers would enjoy most, which is important. But it's also important that you as the writer are doing what's authentic to you. And as I started, like I said, picking apart my own story and thinking about the things that I would replace, I realized, like, no, I love my book. I love the ideas that I've thought of, even though a lot of them honestly are not fully fleshed out and figured out. A lot of my plot points, I don't know. A lot of my world building, I don't understand. While I'm writing, there's often times that I feel super lost and I don't know what direction to go in, but nevertheless, you know, I love my book, and even though it's a disaster, I love working on it. And you know, I think it's really fun as a writer to basically create a massive problem for yourself and then put the puzzle pieces together until you're satisfied with your work. And right now I'm not satisfied. Truly, I'm not. But this is just the reality. Like, if you want to become a better writer, you have to write more, which means you have to be embarrassed and you have to, like, write stuff that sucks. I will say, though, on a more positive note, I do think the more that I'm writing, I am getting more settled in not only my voice, like my characters' voices, but just by writing and not even trying to be good, like accepting that most of my writing in this first draft is going to be bad. My writing is still getting better, which is really exciting. Like, I notice during my writing sprints, it flows much easier. I feel more immersed in the world. Whereas before, when I first started writing, everything felt super clunky and uncomfortable. And there are still times, of course, when I feel like that. Like, a lot of the time I feel like that, but there are those little moments here and there where I'm starting to feel like I'm getting better at doing this, and that is so fun. Like, writing truly is a skill that you can get better at if you just keep writing. So please know, behind the aesthetic footage and the editing and the music and whatever, there is real struggle. And truly, you guys who are writing your projects, I am with you struggling. I am also struggling a lot. In no way is this easy. Sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes I don't want to do it at all. Sometimes I truly dread writing and I have to physically force myself to get on my computer and write. And there is no such thing as a perfect writer, of course, but if there was, I would be extremely far away from that ideal. So yeah, anyway, that's sort of just something I wanted to chat about, and I'm not finished with chapter 5 yet. In fact, I barely wrote anything. I was really struggling to get words on the page, but I am determined to write 5,000 words because I need to catch up on my goals. So, but hopefully this was a good chat, and if even one of you feels like less alone in your writing struggle, then yeah, that's my biggest goal. So hello everyone, good morning. It is the next day, it is Friday, and I have a lot of writing to do today. Yesterday, I actually ended up only writing 750 words, which if I'm going to write 5,000 words in 4 days, I have to write 1,250 words every day. Yeah. I really need to get to doing some serious writing today. Yesterday, I ended up spending the whole rest of the day editing a video, which I try to be really careful about not letting videos get in the way of my writing goals, and I hate when I don't meet my word counts because I end up getting sucked into editing. So today we are going to be making up for yesterday and the low word count day, which 750 words isn't anything bad. That's still a good word count, but since I'm trying to write 5,000 words, I definitely should have written more. So today in total, I have to write the words that I didn't end up writing yesterday, plus the 1,250 words today. So in total, I have to write 2,000 words just today. And honestly, that's not that much, and I definitely can write that much today, especially because I don't have anything else to do except to write because I spent the entire rest of yesterday editing. So that's the plan for today. But before we get into writing, I wanted to ask you guys a question, and please comment down below if you have any suggestions. One of the things that has been a real big challenge for me while working on this first draft is keeping everything straight, like keeping all of the details about my world and all of the things that are true consistent throughout writing. I noticed that I'm constantly switching like people's titles and the way that things are referred to and the norms in my world. I'm like always getting confused about the details, and I'm wondering if you guys have a good strategy of keeping your information straight and staying on topic when you're working on your projects. I do have a document where I keep all of that information, but you know, sometimes when you're writing, you don't always want to have to go back and reference that document, especially because, to be honest, mine is kind of a mess. Maybe I should work on cleaning up that document. Maybe that would be helpful, but also maybe, you know, the first draft is just kind of like this and information just ends up kind of being a mess, which is okay. I'm okay with having to go back, obviously, in the second draft and organize all of that stuff and get everything straight. But if you guys have any tips or strategies or methods of keeping all of that information consistent as you're drafting and like keeping it organized in your brain, please let me know. That would be very much appreciated. I'm just gonna stay home today, honestly, because I'm so obsessed with this house and my new writing setup. I don't feel the urge to go out to a coffee shop at all, so hopefully it doesn't bother you guys that all of the clips are at home. I think tomorrow I do want to go to a boba shop in the evening, but today I'm just gonna be hanging out at home, writing at home, and to be honest, that's when I do the most writing, so it's probably actually a good thing so that I can actually work on writing these 2,000 words. So yeah, let's get into doing some writing. Okay, so I just did a distraction-free hour-long writing sprint. I didn't check my phone or any notifications, and I wanted to update you guys on word count for the day because I ended up actually having a really good writing sprint, which I'm really happy about because I feel kind of bad that I had a low word count day yesterday. So I ended up writing 1,322 words. So subtracting that from the total 2,000 word count goal for today specifically, I have 678 words left to write for the day, which is actually super doable. And yeah, I was super in the writing flow, which doesn't always happen for me. I have a really intense inner critic that makes it really hard to write without feeling like I need to monitor every single word. So yeah, this last writing sprint, I feel like I was able to turn off that inner critic and just actually write and get into the flow, which is so nice because honestly, it is so much more important that you just write and get words on the page rather than worrying about those words being perfect. So I'm going to take a break because I'm starting to feel kind of antsy and like I need to switch and do something else for a little bit. And I don't even have that much more to write for the day. I'm honestly kind of shocked, but also happy that writing wasn't like pulling teeth today because sometimes, yeah, that is definitely the case. Today is actually Sunday. I didn't end up filming yesterday because I was feeling a little bit under the weather and I just didn't really feel like turning the camera on. So I didn't end up vlogging yesterday, but I did still write. So luckily I am still on track to write 5,000 words this weekend and also to hit 15,000 words in the draft, which is so cool. The current total word count is 13,381 words. So I'm getting pretty close to 15,000 words, which is really exciting. This morning, the first thing we did was go and get groceries, but then as soon as I got home, I got right back into writing. And while we were moving, I obviously didn't have that much time to write, but I was still having a bunch of ideas. So I made sure to jot down the scene ideas that I had that I wasn't able to actually get on paper. So this morning I took a little bit of time to go through those notes and try and add the scenes that I wanted to add while we were moving, but I just didn't have the time to. And I wanted to try and do that as soon as possible so that I wouldn't forget what I meant by all of my notes that I had written down. So that's sort of just what I was working on this morning. Now, John and I are going to head out to do some work at the new boba place that we really wanted to try. Luckily, I don't have a whole lot of words to write in order to get to 15,000 words, so I'm really looking forward to going out and kind of just hanging out and having a chill writing session. I feel like I've been in the house for like 3 days straight, so I am actually looking forward to doing a little bit of writing outside of the house. That's the plan for this afternoon. I think I'm just gonna get a regular milk tea, but we'll see what I end up ordering when we get there. But yeah, making a lot of progress in the draft and we need to head out. Let's go and get a boba and do some writing.
Really good. That's what my parents were like.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we just got back from boba. We ended up hanging out there for about 2.5 hours. So we had a really good work session. But first, before we talk about writing, I need to tell you about the boba because genuinely, not being dramatic, that was truly the best boba I've ever had. I'm definitely gonna be writing there more often. Yeah, but like I said, we were there for about 2.5 hours and I had a really productive writing session. And I officially hit 15,000 words in the draft. So I want to talk a little bit about my reflections now that I've gotten to this point in this sci-fi project. First thing I have to say is that I'm so happy I was authentic to my actual writing interests and pursued working on this sci-fi project. Not only has it been just like overall so much more fun for me to work on, but it has also felt genuinely so much more fulfilling, and I do feel like I connect so much more with the world and my characters, and I feel like I'm just much more excited about a lot of the world building details than I was about my fantasy project. So yeah, it just feels like a completely different writing experience. I feel just like so much more excited overall to work on this project. And are a lot of parts of it kind of a disaster and don't really make sense? Yes, but I'm far more enthusiastic now about tackling those challenges and trying to figure out problems than I was when I was working on my fantasy book. So yeah, I mean, 15,000 words obviously isn't a huge amount of a novel, so I still have a long way to go, of course. Also, there's a hummingbird currently using the hummingbird feeder outside, which is so cute. Oh my gosh, I love living here. But yeah, anyway, 15,000 words isn't some huge chunk of this novel, especially since I'm planning for it to be about a 100,000 word project. But I am still really proud of myself for getting to this point, and also even more than that, I'm just so happy to see the progress in my writing as I write more and more and work on this project more. I am definitely noticing a major improvement as I write in my prose, and particularly the scenes with dialogue are getting better. I mean, they're not perfect, of course, but I do think that they are a significant improvement from the dialogue scenes that I wrote in my fantasy draft, for instance. I'm also very happy that I was able to get back on track with my 10,000 word count goal for the month of July, despite spending the entire first week moving. I'm really happy that I was able to get back on track and stay consistent with my writing goal. Yeah, I think my total word count goal for the manuscript on my Scrivener is like 15,500 words, but that's not accurate because I ended up doing just some like brain dumping at the end of the writing session. Can you believe that I'm this far in the draft already? I honestly feel like it was just yesterday that I decided to scrap my last project and start this sci-fi project. But yeah, maybe that's a good sign that I'm actually enjoying this project a lot more, that, you know, the time is passing quicker or whatever. So yeah, if you made it till this point in the video, comment this emoji, and it's just so cool to be hitting these word count goals. So now I'm just gonna keep writing and working towards that 10,000 word count goal for the month. I woke up Bean from his nap to say goodbye. I don't think he's very happy about it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching until this point in the video, and I will see you all next week with another writing vlog. Okay, bye.